So my name is Heath Flor. I'm with Virtual LUG, and what we did was we set up a display called Around the World in 80 Days, which is by Jules Verne. So everyone picked up the book, everyone watched the movie, and everyone got to choose their own section here. And right here we started off with London, because that's, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the book, but what happens is he places a bet that he can travel around the world in 80 days. So he places the bet, and that was Mr. Fogg. He's the one who made the bet. And what they did was they went off on this adventure, and back in the day, they didn't have that many modes of travel. So making it around the world in 80 days was a pretty spectacular achievement.
Not like it is today where you can just hop on a plane and, a few hours later.
Right. So, today it's, maybe 15 to 20 hours. Back then, 80 days was pretty significant. So he placed a bet with his gentleman's club, and so we start our adventure, and we start making our way around the table here. And he goes through over here through the Alps. And now what's interesting is here we took elements from the book and the movie because they are not the same. Yeah, and when I say the movie, I'm not talking about the Jackie Chan one. We all almost unanimously decided that one was not the one. That was not the version we were doing it on. It was based on the Disney movie.
Okay.
And I believe that was done in the 50s. So we took elements from that as well, which is why we'll see the airship balloon going over the Alps.
Yeah.
And here you can see the Eiffel Tower. It's just partially built because it was not complete at that time.
Sure, just starting on it at this time.
Right, of course. And of course we always put our own little fun elements. We have Chulu here in the water, and some dolphins and stuff of that nature. Just kind of liven it up a little bit.
Keep some funny different bits in there.
Even it's a great story, but in today's translation, it's a little bit dry. But it's a really excellent read if you ever get a chance. It's really short. You can read it in a day or two. So then he flies over the Alps. Then we have Italy and Greece down here. And as you can see, again, we're just kind of throwing in some ships to break up the monotony of the blue. Because even though the Earth is 2/3 ocean, it's a little boring out there. So
you need something in that to make it a little more interesting. So this is like the Leaning Tower here, then?
That is the Leaning Tower. And then we're also doing throwbacks to our other collaborations. So you have our little ship from last year's Odyssey with the V-Lug shield on there. So we always try to, do a little some elements that people catch. And like if you look back here, it looks like some sand people from Star Wars back there. Yeah. And so if we keep going back here, and one thing to keep in mind is we have over 30 members, and almost all of them contributed this year.
Wow.
And we have mocks from New Zealand, Belgium, Canada, and of course a bunch of people.
So it's kind of all over the world then. You got people coming together for this.
Well, that's why we're named Virtual LUG. Yeah, because we are worldwide. There's no doubt about that. So this particular mock right here is made by Bart, or El Barto as he's known on mock pages. He typically does the the name escapes me, but it's the sci-fi Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, he does a lot of the episodes on mock pages. He builds a lot of that. He loves that. And I want to point out too on the train. If you see the train, it says by Jules and Verne, around the world in 80 days. But if you see, there's a little and sign in between Jules and Verne. That's because Doc in the Back to the Future movies, he named his kids Jules and Verne.
Oh, yes, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, so there's our little tie-in.
Yeah.
There's our little tie-in.
That is the theme this year. For people who might not be aware, the theme is like Brick to the Future, so a little tie-in there.
So that was actually designed by Matt Roundtree. He's on Mock Pages also, and he did a phenomenal job of he was pretty much in charge of the table. He did all the engineering on the table, and the center, which is what we call is the Ring of Fire. We call it that because we knew from day one that it was going to be a hassle to deal with. We had this vision, but even when you have a vision, you know that there's going to be some challenges, and that was our main challenge.
Okay.
The globe was done by Brian Bonahum, and also Dr. Lee Jones's daughter, Maddie. So he built the globe, she skinned it with the continents, and then he did the signage on top.
Cool, and that's spinning up there, so you got some moving parts as well there.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of movement. We try to bring as much movement in lighting elements as we can, and there will be a lot more lights going on during World of Lights. So
moving on down here, then what's this area here?
So down here, we're moving into the Bombay. We have another interesting ship, and the thing about Jules Verne is that's essentially where steampunk came from. He's the originator. So we like to throw in some steamship elements, and that was done by Adam Tucker Reed. And we just, like I said, we try to have fun with it. We could do a strict version and make it only about the book, but we love just tossing in little details and things. That's what Lego's about, right? I mean, you gotta have fun with it.
And something along you kind of mentioned this middle part earlier. You have like mosaics kind of mapping some of the days out there. Is that right?
Yes. So that was all done by Dave Ware. He's in Canada. I'm not sure if you're aware, but he's a phenomenal mosaic builder. And he came into the lug and he immediately jumped on board. Trial by fire, if you will. Hey, Dave, we need a bunch of mosaics. And he stepped up and took care of that for us, which was a big relief because not all of us are, we all have different strengths. And his is obviously in mosaics. Mine definitely isn't. So,
but it worked out well that you had a builder in the group that could do that then, because they turned out really nice.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, they do. They look phenomenal. So as we come through, fog's coming down. They're making their way, and he has a manservant, if you will, Passepartout, and him. They're both getting into this misadventure, and Fogg is just tossing money to make this happen. I mean, he's spending money left and right. So the gist is that they're making their way around the world, and they actually have someone following them because there was a bank robbery about the time that he left England. So they suspect him as a suspect of the robbery. So they have a inspector who's following them around. He's kind of blending in, just keeping an eye on them because he can't arrest them outside of England. So he's waiting for him to touch back into English soil. So here you see we got a Smurf in there. That's another tie-in because there's another collaboration over there that a bunch of our members did for the Smurfs as well. And this was done by Lee Jones. This is the Bombay train station. And as we follow around, they take the train, and what happened was they were falsely advertising that the train was finished, and it wasn't. So that's why the train stops, the tracks run out, and they actually purchase an elephant to take them to the next location. And keep in mind they're doing train, boat, anything they can to get around the world. So that was the instance where they had to actually purchase an elephant to make it to the next location. And here so this is a throwback to all of our members. You can see a bunch of our sig figs are around here partying in various forms.
Very cool. Yeah, that's nice how you kind of throw those in as representations of a lot of the builders that worked on it.
Yeah, it's not just them. I mean, there are members who weren't able to participate, but they're still in there anyway because they're like family. We're all like family. And I get a lot of that, how do I join the lug? the truth is that we're like family. It's not just random people getting together. We've known each other for years in a lot of cases, and we've created this intimate relationship with each other that we are family. We're there for each other. So that's why we're a bit selective about who comes into the group. It's not to be elitist or anything. It's just that we need that mesh. You know, we need someone who's going to come in and not only feel welcome, but be part of the family as well.
And I think that's definitely important when you're trying to put together a collaboration like that. You need to know that, you know, the people are on board and ready to contribute, you know, whatever's needed to finish the collaboration.
Yeah, so we did a panel yesterday about collaboration builds.
I was able to sit in on most of that. That was really interesting.
Yeah. And you know, one of the, I think it was WISLUG, W-I-S-LUG, and I her name escapes me. I'm not familiar with her, but she had talked about getting buy-in from the group. And I thought that was a really excellent point. You have to get buy-in from the participants in order for it to mesh well and to create something like this.
Definitely. So then moving on down here, we've got some more of the story going on here. You mentioned that the elephant. What's after that?
Yeah, so we have the Himalayas where we're crossing. If you look in the top, we actually have another throwback to one of our collaborations, the Lord of the Rings, as they're crossing over the mountain. But, it's the Himalayas. But, again, we're just kind of throwing in some elements that we also have the yellow brick road right here.
Going back to the Wizard of Oz collaboration?
Yes. Now, during this time, they actually run into a scene where a young lady is being sacrificed. And so Fog and Passepartout actually save this girl. And actually later on in the story, Fog is actually kind of standoffish, but towards the end he kind of starts revealing these romantic feelings towards this girl. So essentially from this point forward, she's tagging along and he's paying her way throughout the story. And we have, the thing about this is we had to build in so many different scales, and it works great for this because we could throw in we got micro Taj Mahal and some Buddhist areas and things of that nature. And then we were able to build large-scale ships and trains and all kinds of interesting elements. But the map was the base. We had to nail the map. Otherwise, everything else, there's nothing to be built on. So the way we designed it actually was like more of a, and I'm not sure if you've seen this, but if you look at like a map of a theme park, they do like blown up images of the key areas.
Sure, yeah.
So that's what we were trying to emulate, was the blown up portion of the key areas. So that's why we see so many different types of scales here. So as we move forward, they go to Shanghai, and this is the opium den, where actually the inspector tricks the manservant and essentially gets him stoned, right? So he doesn't go anywhere in the opium den, and he misses his ship. So Fog doesn't have a choice. He leaves without him. And his manservant feels bad about it because he's there to wait on him hand and foot, pretty much. And so he feels bad, but Fog's got to keep going. So they do catch up later. If we swing around here, we have the circus. And what happened was Fog was delayed, and Passepartout jumped ahead of him. And he ended up in the circus, and he was working in the circus when Fog catches up with him again.
You got a cool little like circus top tent type thing going on there?
Yes, and that was done by one of our members, Misty, who's she's in Oregon. And then this ship was made by Geo, and I would totally butcher his last name, but he's in Belgium. He actually shipped that to us.
Oh, wow.
To me and Matt Roundtree. We actually live just a few miles apart in Arizona. And so we got together one night, the box was rattling a little bit. We had a bunch of pieces, and we go, okay, why don't you come over for dinner, and then we'll rebuild this. It actually wasn't bad, He did a very good job packing it, but I'm sure everyone knows shipping Lego is like rolling the dice. You just never know.
Especially with the way some shipping companies treat the stuff they're sending.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they kick boxes a lot. So then we move down here, and they actually make it to the U.S. And there's actually this scene where the train. Again, this is in the movie, not necessarily in the book, where the train, it starts falling apart. And it's not very stable, and they actually jump the train, you know? And it reminded me of, what was it, Happy Days, where Fonzie jumped the shark?
Yeah.
So I always joke that it's the original jump the shark scene. So this was done by Tyler Halliwell, who does all the busts and stuff.
Yes, yeah, really talented builder there.
Yeah, so I think one of the best things about our group is that even though we have our strengths, we do like to get out of the box and try different elements as well. So, and Tyler is a phenomenal builder of the bus. I mean, he comes home from college. I've known this guy since he was like 15. And, you know, his dad comes every year, his dad Mike, and Mike will come out and help us. And it's just amazing watching this young man grow into this amazing builder. He's doing awesome stuff with his life, going to college, and it's just wonderful to see this. That's what I love about just the community in general, is I know a lot of these people, and I've seen them grow up. They've seen me grow up as a builder as well. So that was done by Tyler, and then the train and the station, and this is the sledge. So the train broke down. They actually purchased a sledge to take them across the U.S. And that was done by Kyle. And I'm not sure, he owns Brickforge, Kyle Peterson. So he did a lot of the engraving for us too this year.
Kyle actually did the keynote at Brickworld this year as well, so that was really interesting to hear from him. So he's another great builder. Actually,
not to put down any of the others, but I thought that was the best keynote I've seen in a while. And you know what? I'll be honest, me and Matt were actually going to skip it, and we were going down the hall to, this is a true story, we were going down the hall to go up to our room, and Kyle runs by me in a orange vest and sunglasses and the 80s hair, which is his real hair, by the way. And he goes, "Have you seen a DeLorean?" And I said, "Okay, we have to go. We got to see what this guy's going to talk about." But it was great. So moving down, they get to New York. They take a ship. They actually missed the ship, the scheduled ship, so they get on this other passenger. It wasn't a passenger ship. It was they were shipping things, and that's the Henrietta right there. And what happens is they run out of fuel. So Fogg actually purchases the boat from the captain and then starts tearing it apart and puts all the wood into the fire to keep the steam going, because it was a paddle boat. So that's the Henrietta. That was done by myself.
Okay, so that was and I see you got some moving parts on there.
Yeah, we got some paddle wheels going. They were catching on the studs a little bit, so I think the wheels might be off one or two, the paddles, but the challenge here was I rigged it with Lego pieces, and that was actually pretty difficult. This is my first ship. I've always threatened to build a ship, and I'm confident now that I can take it to another level.
Yeah, this turned out great.
Thank you. And again, we have on the bow, we have the figure with the VLUG shield, so we always like to throw in some elements. And they make it to Ireland, and they take, as you see, another scale change. Bunch of boats in the ocean. We have the train that takes them to, it wasn't Dublin, I can't remember the city that they ended up in, But the inspector catches up, and now they're on English soil. And then he has them arrested.
Okay.
He finally has the warrant. He has justification. And that was built by Millie, who in New Zealand. And she shipped that over to us. And, you know, that's where fog is caught, essentially.
Okay. Very cool. So we're nearing the end here then?
Yeah, we're nearing the end. We have some ruins out here. We have the Loch Ness Monster, the Pirates of Panzranth, I think it is, which is actually my sig fig, you know, just drinking and having a good time. We have Harry Bensley out here. He was a gentleman who actually made a bet that he would push a stroller wearing a helmet around the world. Now, he didn't accomplish it. He actually stopped for one of the world wars. I think it was World War I.
Oh, okay.
But this was just kind of a neat little thing that we ran into, and I was like, I have to build that. That's just too weird. And it's a true story. You can look him up.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There's a picture of him pushing a buggy with the helmet on. And then I went ahead and threw in Stonehenge, and I'm not sure if you've ever seen the Spinal Tap movie, where they draw the stage on a napkin. And he draws Stonehenge, and he puts in, you know, inches instead of feet. So they you know, built it to scale, and then they have the dwarves dancing around it. So we built it to Spinal Tap scale. And then, so we're back here. He makes it back, and he thinks that he lost the bet because he was caught up in jail. And what happens, though, is he realizes that he actually gained a day. Because he went right? Because he went counterclockwise, you know, and crossed the date line, and he ends up marrying the princess. So, Dave Sterling built Charing Cross. We have Mark Kelso, who built the home, and then we had Dennis, who he does the comics. He built that. They all collaborate on London in itself. We had Betsy Sandberg, who did the first part that we saw. I want to make sure I don't leave anyone out.
Try to mention all the talented builders' names here.
Yeah, I'm working on it. We had Chris Phipson, of course, who did Italy. I already mentioned Matt Roundtree, Doc Lee Jones. We had Master Shifu Joel. Master Shifu on mock pages. He did the microscales. And I think I got everyone. They'll let me know if I didn't.
Hopefully. Well, that is an incredible layout. You guys did an awesome job with that this year. Just really, really good job all around there. What is the setup time like on this usually? When you guys get to the convention, what does it take to set this up?
Sure. So, you know, a lot of the times we're unsure, but this year was actually the smoothest it's ever been, and I can't take credit for that. Everyone keeps giving me credit for that, but in all honesty, I think we've matured a lot in our building, in our collaborations, that it went together really fast. Again, I couldn't have done it without Matt Roundtree, because he engineered the table and the Ring of Fire, you know, and he just did an excellent job. I owe him a bottle of whiskey, and he's going to get it. He's going to get a nice one. But, you know, sometimes you never know. You know, sometimes you have, and we had minor hiccups, but this year it just worked very well. So we had the majority of it set up the first day.
Okay.
Yeah. So yesterday was really easy. It was just filling in some minor details, kind of blending things together. Because sometimes things they look great in pictures. Then you get them all set up and they don't necessarily mesh, right? So, you know, we always bring extra brick and plates. Plates are important, I will tell you that. Plates are very important. So we just use those to blend in areas that maybe looked a little rough.
Okay, well, that's really incredible. I appreciate you kind of taking us through the whole thing and telling us about it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. You guys have a great show.